welcome to this, our second day of our second week of OPL Split 2 for 2017. Thank you for joining us. My name is Michael Hingersing, and joining me here at the analyst desk, we have Jake and also Destiny, two fantastic sports. And we have two massive matches of League of Legends for you today. So let's take a look at that schedule, shall we? Going to kick things off with Chiefs, looking to bounce back after their loss against Direwolves last week by taking on Abyss, who are fresh off a win. And then Sin Gaming and Team are both looking for their first series victory of the split in our second match of the day. So let me start with you guys, Jake. Destiny, how you guys feeling today? Having a good day today, Jake? How are you recovering after last night?
Yeah, had to get up a bit early. Obviously didn't want to lose yesterday.
Sure,
but
no one wants to lose.
well, it was a learning experience.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
We'll take it for that.
Yeah, I had an alright day.
Well, you won. Of course you had an all right day.
Good stuff. Well, yeah, Direwolves sitting top of the table now, so congratulations on that. And yeah, this is the winning form that we'll see you take it all the way to the Split 2 Championship. You going to Worlds this year? No, you have to tell me now. It's fine.
You'll know. You'll see us at the top. Don't worry.
Thanks for asking me.
No.
I'm going to Worlds.
When you win, I'll ask you, all right? Let's
okay,
get
Jake.
to our first game today, Chiefs versus Abyss. And we should say as well, Chiefs have announced their new coach. And I'm sure it's a huge surprise to everyone. It's Jish returning from a split overseas. Do you guys think that's going to have an effect on them at all?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think. I mean, just not saying Volt is a bad coach,
Sure,
but
no shade throwing.
I think you could definitely tell the difference between when Jish was there and when Volt was there.
Destiny, do you
yeah,
agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think Volt, personality-wise, is a better analyst, and he's done it before. Moving into a coaching role when he's very young, playing with like very veteran players that are pretty old, would have been difficult for him. So it's good to see Jish come back, and I think it will benefit them as a team.
All right, we're looking forward to today's game then. I've got two supports here on the desk, and I want to ask you about the support matchup. Ejim v Rosie in the bot lane. I mean, one of the things about these guys is, well, Ejim actually replaced Rosie when he was on Chiefs. So there is no love lost between these guys, even though that was a while ago, Jack.
Yeah, Rosie took a stint in the top lane on Sin and then headed back down to Challenger, got himself back up on Chiefs Black. Now they're back at it again.
Yeah, I think Ejim is definitely the better player right now based on like information of the previous results
Sure.
for the Chiefs. But I think this game definitely shows that Rosie has something to prove because he was replaced by Ejim. So now he wants to show that he is the better player. He wants to prove himself. He's come back to the OPL after TM. And now it's really his time to shine on this new team, this new Abyss team that has Luch back.
Also, Ejim, new haircut there. He's dyed his hair, slightly darker shade. Look, I know you guys want to talk about the game, but I'm just interested in no hair gronks in the OPL. That's been my thing from day one. Yeah, looking good.
There you go.
Yeah, fresh fade.
Looks
Very
a bit-
interesting
looks a bit
stuff. Let's
purpley on
also
camera.
talk about Ejim last week had a bit of a rough game on that Lulu. What do you guys want to see him playing if they perhaps don't pick that up today?
Back to Thresh and Rakan,
Yeah.
Kench.
Put him on Rakan.
Yeah.
I think he's most comfortable on Rakan right now. He's had good Thresh performances like last split, and even in just history of Chiefs, he's been a good Thresh player. So I'd like to see him pick up the playmaking champions, the ones that
Yeah.
just engage for his team.
Well, Chiefs are obviously going to be favourites going into this game, but Abyss, if they have a carry threat, it's probably in that top lane through Pabu. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on that Pabu Swiper matchup?
Yeah, I definitely think that is the most abusable matchup for Abyss. Pabu, historically, he's been a carry player, although he was relegated to tanks last week against Regicide. And Swiper's had a tendency to get run over a bit by people playing carries, so that's where Abyss should look to attack Chiefs.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jake. I think Pabu is the win condition. If he can play a carry champion into Swiper, who played carries last week, which was pretty interesting to me. He stopped playing the tanks last weekend against us, so it'll be interesting to see if he goes back to the tanks or stays on the carries. But if it's a carry versus carry matchup, I think Pabu definitely has an advantage, and it's something they can exploit.
Let's drill down on that a little bit further. Like, what about that is exploitable, do you think?
Well, I just think previously Swiper hasn't had much experience playing carries, and it was something that he tried to do in Korea. He spammed out Kennen and had a alright win rate, but it's definitely something he isn't comfortable because he's usually the one engaging for the Chiefs. He's
Yeah.
usually calling the TP flanks, which he's usually known for, and doing those engages mid when they just hard force. So him playing a carry is changing the way Chiefs run. Like their dynamic has been changed,
Right.
and him playing a carry is something they're uncomfortable with, and it's something that Pabu excels at. So I think it is that's why I think it's exploitable.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's take a look at the Chiefs now. Getting ready in the OPL studios, shall we? These guys looking to bounce back after a loss, a 2-1 loss to Direwolves last week. Let's go through their lineup, shall we? We just spoke about him. Their top laner is Swiper. Their jungler is Spooks. Their mid laner and captain is Swiffer. Raze is their AD carry. I don't know if you saw that video on Twitter of Raze copying the worst room in the house when they were allocating them via a random number generator. It's great content. Check it out on Twitter. And their support player, Ejim. New haircut. Loving it. Absolutely great stuff. And you saw a glimpse of Jish's red/orange jack in the background. Coach Jish. He's told me he's going to answer all of the coach interview questions in French today. And then I asked him if he spoke French, and he said no. So we'll see how that carries on. Meanwhile, their opponents across the rift are Abyss. Let's take a look at these guys getting ready, shall we, as well? Abyss. And go through their lineup, shall we? Their top laner, who we've spoken about a little bit already today. Flying in, flying out, Pabu. Not leaving the team house. Their jungler is Seb. Luch is their mid laner. He was suspended last split because of a competitive ruling. And looking to keep that winning streak going after last week's pickup. Raid is their AD carry. And the support player, who we name-checked before, is Rosie. And before we get into these games, the final thing I want to talk about with you guys is that mid lane matchup. Luch v Swift. A lot of hype about Luch coming back, but also Swift is known as one of the best players in OS. I mean, how do you see this matchup going?
I think on skill, they're very even. Luch may even be slightly ahead in terms of just one-on-one matchups. But Swift has shown time and time again that the way he works with Spooks, their synergy, the way he can affect the other lanes on the map is just far superior to Luch.
Do you agree that the matchup has Luch slightly ahead, Destiny?
I actually disagree. I think Swiffer is better mechanically, but Luch is got this like farm playstyle that is unrivaled in OS. Like he just farms and he just always gets ahead of his opponent.
Yeah.
But his problem is he doesn't use that lead, and he doesn't do like what Swiffer does is he gets that little lead and then exploits the map. But Luch doesn't do that. So I think this is definitely a weak spot for Abyss and something that Swiffer can capitalize on.
Well, bearing all that in mind, let's get your guys' predictions then, shall we? Jake, let me start with you. Are Chiefs going to win this one?
I think they've got too much experience. 2-0, I think.
2-0. All right. Destiny, your thoughts?
Yep, I agree. I think a 2-0 for Chiefs, but it won't be a clean game because I feel like with the return of Luch and just the new team, pretty much, I feel like they've got a lot to prove today.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's take a look at what you thought at home as well. OPLtips.com.au has Chiefs as heavy favourites. Ooh. Although 87%, although some people are saying that Abyss will be able to take at least one game from them. So, you know.
Got some faith?
Got some faith.
Got some fans?
Exactly. Good on Abyss. Let's get your questions as well for our analysts. #I'mOPL/ or you can tweet at OPL, and I will take your questions, and the relevant ones I will force our analyst desk here to answer them. But it is time for us to now get into our first game of the day. So I'll throw it to your casters. It is Spawn and Fish with their special guest caster, Tim Carbon Wendell.
Thank you very much, guys. Great to have two very handsome support players on the desk today, and Hingers, as always, can join us. And we have Tim Carbon and also Jake Swantoveri joining us to go through our matches today. We have two best-of-3 matches here today in the OPL, and first up, we have Abyss taking on the Chiefs.
Yeah, we certainly do, and it's a little bit of a mismatch if you go by last split and where these teams ended up. But of course, Abyss going through some big changes, bringing in Pabu, now got Luch back as well as Rosie. They've added some experience to a young lineup, and hopefully that fixes some of their shot calling, because I know last split we were very critical about their mid to late game calls.
Yeah, I feel like Abyss have definitely made some upgrades in the off-season. I think Pabu and Luch obviously coming in much stronger solo lanes, but I fear that Seb, who kind of didn't have the best season last split, might hold them back a little bit, because as we know, I think jungle probably has the biggest influence over the early game, and if these solo laners don't get rolling, I really don't see them beating the Chiefs.
And not only does it have influence over the early game, it is becoming a focal point of bans as well at the moment. Elise being taken away, that's one of Seb's picks. He was also a Zac player when he could get his hands on it. Does limit his champion pool to have effectiveness in this best of 3 versus someone like Spooks, who's kind of a little bit more mercurial. Hasn't really got like his big picks anymore, Spooks, but just plays whatever the team needs him to play. Has had up and down impact himself as well, though. Definitely not the old consistent Spooks that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, Spooks definitely doesn't have like a main. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't say like, oh yeah, Spooks he's an ex player. I mean,
he's a flash Nunu snowball player.
No, he definitely doesn't do that. I will say though that Spooks' Gragas is probably one of the best Gragases in the OPL, and that wouldn't surprise me at all if that was flexed to the jungle.
Yep, speaking of Gragas, that's the first pick coming out for the Chiefs here, as all the bans have gone through for both the Chiefs as well as Abyss Esports. Syndra, Thresh, and Kassadin, the bans on the blue side of Summoner's Rift, whereas we have Elise, Galio, and Zac all being banned out by Abyss. Ashe and Lee Sin are the first 2 picks for Abyss as well.
I mean, not all that surprising. Ashe still seems to push up bottom lane better than most AD carries. Has initiation, means that you can play carries top if you want, as well as, you know, having a flexible build path at the moment. Want to get your thoughts on the red side bans at the moment, Carbon, because I know that you guys unfortunately couldn't ban any of them yesterday. But
yeah, I would have liked some red side bans yesterday.
Do you think these are the 3 staple bans you must ban on red side? Is Elise flexible? Is Galio flexible?
My personal opinion is that Elise is a little bit flexible. She is very strong, obviously. She's a good first pick because it doesn't really show much for your strategy. But I do feel like at least there's like some outplay potential on Elise. Galio and Zac are just so difficult to work around.
As the Chief, they've already locked in Caitlyn as well as Lulu here. We should see this as the AD carry and support, but we have had Lulu flexed in the OPL already.
I'm a little bit spooked about the Lulu. I think he's dyed his hair black out of mourning for last weekend's Lulu performance.
Oh, goodness.
He's trying to repent with this Lulu pick here. I hope that he doesn't feed again. Fingers crossed, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, he also had a Lulu game versus Sin where he gave up first blood a little bit as well into Rogue's Thresh. He hasn't had the best performance. And the other thing that kind of is interesting is, you know, Caitlyn's seeing a lot of resurgence. The buffs to Static Shiv is how it interacts with Rapid Fire Cannon now certainly did her some favors. But historically, Ashe has been a pretty good lane into the Caitlyn.
Absolutely.
Able to pick her off with arrows, especially with an aggressive jungler like Sin. That is a lane you can 100% camp out. I mean, you throw something like a Talia into Lucha's hand, and all of a sudden, bottom side pressure is very far against the Chiefs, in my opinion.
Yeah, Kate's pretty scary here because, I mean, I think Raid is a pretty good Ashe player. He's good with his arrows, good at finding opportunities. But more than that, they have the Lee Sin and the Jarvan. And Kate, while Kate is she has more mobility than Ashe, I guess, in the sense that she has long range and a net, but she actually performs very poorly against CC. Her net is easily cancelable. Her orb walking is sort of slow. So I think in this draft so far, Abyss do have the tools right now to shut this Kate down.
Yeah, you touched on the Lee Sin as well as the Jarvan there. Lee Sin, a champion that Seb is very comfortable with playing, and Pabu was very vocal about bringing Jarvan back into the meta
when it was WMAX as
yeah,
well.
when
Not even when it was a QMAX. He was just a big fat tank Jarvan player up there in the top lane. Yep. But like at the same time, this is something that the Chiefs were very vocal about. They feel like Jish is the better drafter for them, like not taking anything away from Volt. Got to work with him a lot in Origin, and he has some very good opinions about how the draft should work. But the Chiefs felt like Jish just understood what they wanted to play towards and what their win conditions are. A lot of his drafts are mid-focused. A lot of them have good jungle support early on as well. He counter-picks solo lanes. And historically, these are all the things that Chiefs have need to really be able to take advantage. And they're going to have both counter picks for solo lanes here because Abyss are actually hiding Rosie's pick until last.
Which is interesting, right? Because Lulu got locked in super early. So, you know, they've had the opportunity to counter pick for a while. But I think that they obviously prioritized the Ori pretty highly here, that they didn't want to bother with the counter pick because they knew that Ori, with the Jarvan and the Ashe, obviously, is a good combo, and maybe they're afraid of Swift's Ori as well.
That's worked out really well for the Chiefs. They've been able to ban out 2 support champions, which is the final pick for Abyss here. Zyra and Karma were taken off the table. Renekton and LeBlanc were the 2 bans from Abyss. That does give Chiefs the option to pick up Kled as well as Talia.
And I'm kind of happy that they've gone with Kled because we were joking about the Sion pick. I mean, the Chiefs historically have been get the big go button. I think that Kled does have something similar. It's also a counter pick. I mean, as much as counter pick goes to Jarvan, I don't think he really has any counter picks after Tiamat. He's just a very solid top laner at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
We might see a couple of rapid fire counters this game, though.
Pardon?
We might see a couple of rapid fire counters this game, though.
If he builds it, I'll roast him. But at the same time, I think that in the late game split push, the Chiefs have a much better 1-3-1. Kled scales better than Jarvan in a one-on-one situation. Jarvan's a better team fighter. And Talia in the side lane, it just absolutely demolishes Orianna. One of the reasons Ori fell out of favor is that she does not go to a side lane well at all.
I think one of the scary things here for the Chiefs, well, not so much scary, but there's going to be a lot of onus on the 3 in the 1-3-1 here because they obviously have like 2 kind of semi-globals with the Talia wall and the Kled ult. But the problem with the Abyss comp is they have extremely hard engage. They have the Arrow, they have Flash Jarvan combo, they have Ori combo, they have Bard ult. So Going to be spooky for the Chiefs, the three in the middle.
Yeah, it certainly is. And when you do have a team that has all of these go buttons, it just means that you have to play a little bit further back. And that hurts a 1-3-1 because if you're not pressuring all three turrets
Especially
at the same
Caitlin.
time, it really just doesn't really lead to all that much. They're neutral objective controlled because they're not going to have a Bork user or, something that builds Leandries is going to suffer as well throughout this game. So they have to be able to push up the lanes. They have to be able to make it work and get the collapses rolling because otherwise, you're right, the scaling, the team fight that's going to come out of Abyss is just superior nearly across the board.
I will say, though, that I'm not a big fan of the Bard pick. I think the Bard is an incredibly weak laner. I'm expecting them to kind of get dumpstered a little bit, to be honest, because I feel like Kate Lulu is so strong. Ash Bard, well, Ash is good. Bard really needs to get out of lane phase. I mean, he's so good out of lane, but so poor in it.
And the thing that really hurt them here is holding that counter pick, because at the same time, if that was a Zyra, if that was a Karma, all of a sudden the shoves in their favor. They can get into that bottom lane with Lee Sin. Completely agree. I think that's actually a drafting error. And this is something that Rosie's had in the past. He has Crux champions that he just loves to play.
Yeah, and going back to something you touched on earlier, that Jish was able to draft it out quite nicely, got the 2 final bands of Karma and Zyra, which would have done well in that bottom lane. And speaking of the Chiefs coach, we're actually going to throw over towards Hingers, who's standing by with Coach Jish.
Thanks very much, guys. I'm here with Coach of the Chiefs, Jish, and congratulations on the new role. How are you feeling coming back to the house? Feeling good?
Yeah, it's as I remember. It's pretty dirty. It's pretty loud. Sleeping before 2 a.m. seems near impossible, but no, otherwise it's pretty good.
So talk to me about today's draft. On the desk, we were talking about how maybe Pabu was a bit of a carry threat for Abyss, but didn't feel like you guys were target banning him at all in that. So, I mean, talk me through what you think the threats on Abyss are.
So I think that we wanted to neutralize more their mid jungle. So we want to take Gragas to give Spooks the stronger jungle matchup. And we think that taking the tank jungler away from Seb means that they're unlikely to put Pabu on like a strict carry champion. They still want to bring some beef from the top lane.
Excellent stuff. All right, we'll see if that plays out how you expect it to. Thank you for speaking to us, and best of luck in the match.
Merci beaucoup.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He butchered that. He butchered that.
My goodness. So they didn't really want Pabu on a strict carry champion. Still got Jarvan, which is hybrid, half and half.
Speak a second language, don't you?
Yeah, but doesn't sound as nice as that.
Doesn't sound as nice as that?
You speak one too, Spawn. You speak Australian, apparently.
Yeah, Australian, English. Nah, I used to speak Japanese, but not anymore. Long time ago.
Well, we are back on the Summoners Rift between Chiefs and Abyss here. The first match of this best of 3 series.
Want to get a look at the jungle path.
Yeah.
He's already cut you off, but he's
Spooks
gone
is going-
Raptors to blue buff.
He's going chickens to blue.
Absolute cheese lord.
I mean, I agree, but then again, I don't mind a bit of cheese in the jungle. I think it's a bit of fun. Seb really should have seen this coming. There's a number of things you can do, to counteract it, including Warding River.
See, it's a little bit of blue cheese, Spawn, like we were talking about on yesterday's cast. Going well for Spooks so far. He's able to take that away from Seb, but we still don't know that blue buff has been taken away from them so far.
Yeah, and the big thing for me about this, and you'll probably be able to speak to a better carbon, is that Lee Sin is a very good single target jungler at the moment, but loses health when he does things like Wolves and Raptors. And getting things like, your double golems, if people go towards the top side, or even your blue buff towards the bottom side, actually hurts Lee Sin out and being able to get that experience getting towards the level 6.
Yeah, Lee definitely doesn't like the red side jungle. He definitely prefers the blue side. I think a lot of the time you'll see Lee's take the red and then leave. The thing with the chicken start is that it's kind of a necessity nowadays. The camp just gives you so much value in terms of XP that you almost have to start there. But one thing I do want to touch on here is while Spooks has taken the blue buff, it's not actually a lead until Spooks takes his own, because what we saw was Lee Sin actually had he has about a half level, or he has a 1 camp advantage right now on this Gragas. So he still has, the tempo. He still has the next play is most likely going to come from him.
And it looks like Seb is going to do just that. He's moving over towards blue side of the jungle instead. Makes his path towards mid lane. Swiffer is pushing up slightly against Luch. Seb does get behind him. Also a flash out of Swiffer nice and early.
I mean, okay, not to be hypercritical, but taking the flash is good, so he'll be happy with that. He traded flash for nothing. But if you E in that situation and you get the slow off with 1 or 2 autos, Swiffer has to go back to base, and that's a way bigger advantage than just the flash and Swiffer being on just over half.
Not even that, you get Lord Hop auto attack reset comes out actually really quick as a Lee Sin.
Yep.
So if you have the red buff still, always go for the first auto attack before you make any other decision. Generally, red buff in the early game will be enough to burn a mid laner's flash, because especially if you're running Ghost, you burn it early generally, because you're like, I've got a second defensive summoner spell, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So I think that could have definitely been played a little bit better, but still, first gank of the game, not bad for Seb.
Yeah,
See if he
yeah.
plays himself in.
Yep.
Looking to try and get a gank on towards Swiper, who's about to get Scarl back. A little bit low on mana here. Should be just
Yeah,
fine.
it's about to turn spooky because they
hello.
lose this 2v2.
Spooks is actually able to
Yeah.
get up towards top side of the map. He still has double buff. Seb's has expired.
So what is it about the 2v2 that you like for the Chiefs, sir?
Well, the thing with the Lee Sin Gragas matchup is that Lee Sin can never really queue because Gragas can always cancel it. So Lee kind of has to hold his most damage, his highest damage ability, whereas Gragas has to hold his E, which is not that much damage. And Kled with the remount is so difficult to beat 2v2. If you can't kill him in that first burst and he gets the remount off, you almost always lose.
So a really good map play from the Chiefs since level 1. Able to out-jungle Seb, make sure they keep their top laner Swiper nice and safe.
You can see how this spot lane matchup is going as well.
Yeah.
You know, the Bard, Kate, I mean, he's only down 2 CS, which is decent so far, but Chiefs have all the priority, and we can see Gragas moving into the bot side jungle as a result.
And I know something that Jish likes to talk about is it's not really a CS lead anymore in the bottom lane. It's a chip damage lead.
Yeah.
And the ability to be able to knock down the turret before the team, if you're losing the lane, can... Ooh, Summoner Spell's gone everywhere in the mid lane. Like what happened there. And it's about, if they do feel that they're losing the lane, generally the move is to rotate top, but if you're shoving in this hard, it does become difficult.
It's level 4 against a level 5
Spooks
jungle.
missed the cancel there, so he could die here unless...
On jungle matchup, Seb, incredibly low. He's actually going to get taken down here if he gets auto attack one more time. Spooks does pick up first blood.
It's just all about Ejim rotating earlier than what Rosie was able to. That's what we said. Being pushed in the bottom lane means that there's absolutely nothing you can do. Now all of a sudden Spooks can just walk in, zone away Luch as well. So pretty much a simultaneous, so the victory in bottom lane has won jungle and mid simultaneously.
Can we call that a drafting first blood? You know, the only reason he would have won that fight if it wasn't for Lulu rotating, and Lulu wouldn't have rotated if they didn't pick Bard.
There you go, already Chiefs picking up a nice 1,200 gold lead against Abyss. 6 minutes, 30 seconds into this game. Good tempo lead in the jungle as well, now giving a slight advantage to Swift from mid lane.
Yeah, a small other thing I want to talk about is the fact that both top laners didn't use teleport to get back in. They know that there's a lot of pressure on this bottom lane. Abyss want to be able to make a teleport play from behind, given the fact that they're being shoved in so much when Ash Arrow's available. Turret health is so low, and at the same time, Swiper is just going to look for them to continually push up, and he's going to disappear into Fog of War, and you have to respect it and leave the turret. This is going to be first brick very early unless Abyss get the proactive play.
Abyss have to do something in the next couple of minutes. If they don't, Chiefs are going to do it for them. And if Abyss die and lose their bot tower, it's going to be very difficult for them not to lose every single other outer to this Lulu Kate.
And that's the thing about Caitlyn. We say she has a bad mid-game, but she has a bad mid-game if the map is even. If you're ever ahead, then she's just able to walk around and chip out, and you can't hard engage on her because of her range and the traps at this stage of the game, because your Jarvan isn't tanky enough. So they do have to watch out for it. This is a little bit of a nightmare. And when you're picking a scaling comp, giving away, picking up something like Bard, and I know we keep going back to it, but it kind of forfeits too much priority in where you're trying to get to. Jarvan's so much better in a teamfight late game. Orianna has the shockwave. Talia doesn't even have an ult to do damage. I mean, they should have been picking to make something happen.
Just on that note, just remember that Talia has no flash, and she should die here.
That's a flash forward from Spooks. Luch will flash away from the ultimate, make sure he gets back to safety. So flash for flash in the mid lane.
I was about to compliment Seb for realizing what I just realized, and that was that he had kick and that mid had no flash, but Luch burns the ult a little bit early, unfortunately, on a bit of a bad trade, I think, and they missed their opportunity, and he's going to have flashback now.
Pabu just misses Flag and Dragon combo, and Swiper picks up Skull, going in for the one-on-one. Cataclysm used. He's not going to get stuck inside as he flashes out, and Swiper gets a solo kill in the top lane.
And Big Swift always does this. All of a sudden, a little bit critical on the desk. You know, carry versus carry matchup. He's old, he's washed up, the hands don't work anymore. And then he picks up a solo kill onto the young gun Pabu.
Pabu, best top lane in the world. That's what Big Doss would be saying right now. Look, great solo kill. We said it in the pre-game. They have to get these solo lanes popping off.
Oh, Talia's here. This is bad.
Yeah, they missed the Ash Arrow. Seb couldn't engage. Rosie's forced to flash over the Weaver's Wall, and this turret is incredibly low.
Abyss desperate to make a play in the bot lane to get them out of the chip damage, but it doesn't work. They didn't get the TP through from Jarvan either. Ori's not here for a shot. They can't get any space right now. Chiefs are just choking them out.
Yeah, and the thing is even though that play doesn't work, Ash Arrow down, so there's no real teleport initiation apart from Rosie. I mean, at the same time, they burn Rosie's flash as well, so still a big win here. Looks like they want to continue the fight. Seb.
Incredibly
Ooh,
low.
landing with
Almost
fire.
taken out of
There he
Kaluas, but
goes.
Raze over the wall, gets the red buff, and is now slowing down Raid little bit by little bit. That was questionable from Seb.
Well, it's just the fact they have to force fish. Every single time they let this Chiefs bottom lane go back, reset, they're going to chip down the turret further. Now, all of a sudden, what was an even lane is now plus 22 CS, as well as solo turret gold to Raze. He's an absolute monster.
Yep, this is going to be very scary for Abyss in a moment, and there's so much pressure on them to make a play. I expect them to make a number of, I mean, I guess you could call it an unforced error, or I think it's a forced error, because they have to make plays. There's pressure on them to do something, and when there's pressure on you to make plays, that's when you're most likely to mess it up.
He's starting off this game fantastically. Already 3,000 gold ahead. Swiffer's going to try and pick up blue buff for himself.
Swiffer gets so much help. Like, everything. I mean, Swiper on your way back to the rotate into the bottom lane because we've caught the duo out. Just help me with my blue buff.
Yep.
You don't get a recall like Pabu did. You have to come faster, jungle.
You can walk all the way from top to bot. He was top, come get my blue, now walk bot.
Yeah.
Pabu's reset though, doesn't matter, get down there. Goodness, poor
I mean,
guy.
it's just one of those things that, honestly, like, unless you look for it within the Chiefs, then you don't really see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But he really is the core of this team and how they play
Absolutely.
around it.
Absolutely. I mean, you could see, even on the level 6 gank with the Talia with no flash, Spooks was waiting for it.
Yep.
The level 3 where Seb died the first time as well, that was Seb trying to path towards the mid lane. Spooks and Ejim already there waiting for him. This is definitely a mid-centric team, and you know, when they play well, it looks really good.
Raze now has found Sam. Still has red buff. He's able
Seb's
to
not
get
having a good game.
he's able to get a couple of attacks off, but no, he
he's
is not.
I mean,
0-2.
that's technically the strong side of the map right now because Swiffer's cheating towards the bottom lane. And Seb's still looking for anything. I mean, Spooks has been an absolute serial pest down on the bottom side because of how far they've been Swiffer.
Arrow's dodged out by Swiffer as Abyss tried to collapse in the mid lane. Still looking for some play to open up the map for themselves.
No cleanse on the Talia,
Yep.
so I commend him for his effort. Might as well. You know, if he's not about to arrow his own lane, they're not going to die. Yeah, Swiffer saw it coming and just sidestepped it.
And it's something that we talk about a lot, Fish, but I think that the one thing you can potentially say is Raze gets caught out for a hold
I like
it.
this.
Not going to try and go for a fight here. Raze is only slowed down, tagged up by Seb. Ollymore is able to stop Seb for a while. Good while Grove cancels it. Now Spooks trying to knock back one. Gets Rosie. That's a double kill. Ultimate coming out towards Raid as well. They're still chasing him down.
Talia.
So he's going to be able to cut her off. Raid, no flash, nothing available to keep himself alive. Swiffer picks up that kill, and again, everything just goes wrong for Abyss.
An absolute shellacking in the making right now. I mean, Abyss just don't have pushing lanes. Even...
He's looking for another solo kill, this time on the mid laner himself. Luch is going to fall, and Big Swips gets his second solo kill of this game.
Field day out there. Is this a perfect game? You don't want to call it early?
Yeah, I actually will call it early. They've got absolutely no chip damage against them. I don't think there's enough damage coming out of any of their carries right now to kill anyone. Herald picked up means that they pretty much get a free turret as well.
Probably
a little bit of a tempo advantage. So, Chiefs.
I think the reason I said that I didn't like that play at top when they started it was he just fired his arrow mid.
Yeah.
Right. If they had arrow in that play, Caitlyn didn't have flash. Maybe Lee can execute with a kick off an arrow or something like that. But you know, I commended him for his effort at arrowing mid. I thought that was a good idea. But you can't immediately try and start a fight after you just used your best engage tool.
Really big props to Ejim as well. Delayed that from Seb long enough that it allowed Spooks to get up there so they can turn it completely around.
I mean, he cut off the execute damage with Wild Red.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's just the
I
little
like that.
things that you see in the play. But, of course, knock-ups do affect when you're flying through the air. If you time it well, no damage is going to come through. Oh, Spooks, just
Perfect game?
Nah, it's good. He
Good
knew.
flash.
See,
Good
he
flash.
knew
Yeah,
it was a
he
perfect
knew.
game.
I reckon they're saying it. No one wants to die. I think we're going to see a lot of early flashes this game.
Have you guys got a rule? Is it like not talking about the perfect pitch? Is anyone allowed to mention the perfect game?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When James ruined it, when Tally ruined our perfect game last week, we were very mad.
Well, perfect game about to get ruined here. Ejim's going to fall to Luch. They also stun lock Raze. He's incredibly low.
Spooks just body slammed
Coming
into
as
the wall.
well.
Not
Spooks
going
is
to
no
take down.
flash.
Spooks is going to get slowed down. Peacemaker doesn't connect on anyone, but there you go. Ejim dropping means no more perfect game for the Chiefs.
And this is what we said. You can see the Chiefs, they finally went into 1-3-1 because they want to be able to... Oh, no, let's not talk about that yet.
They're not done yet. Swiffer is going to fall. Spooks knocks a couple back, goes in for a body slam. Swiper looking for a pick. Luch using the ultimate on himself.
Hula hoop.
Very questionable play there as Pabu tries to flag and drag his way out. Bear trap on a rope does get cancelled. Abyss will trade 1-for-1 eventually.
So we say it's questionable play, but what had happened there is that he's ball was in between him and where he wanted to be, and he flashed over it, picked it up, and therefore he just lost track of it. So that's a panic play, but you can understand how that happened. But at the same time, Chiefs losing 2 members, still up 6,000 gold. I mean, they're not all too concerned by it.
Yeah. It's not every game that you lose a team fight and then just get to take mid-tower off it. All right, that's something special.
But this is what we were talking about the execution of the 3-man unit. Because we saw that Swiper had gone bottom lane, Swiffer had gone top lane. They wanted to start shoving out the wave. They wanted to force people to go there. Jarvan hard engaged with the flash. All of a sudden, Seb finds Spook. And you just continue to roll through with all your hard engage tools, and you're able to grab 2 kills. Sure, they didn't get the gold advantage, but if this was an equal game, all of a sudden Chiefs can't take the turret off that, and it's actually a good play.
Yeah, took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, we mentioned in the pre-game how careful the 3 was going to have to be, and you saw there that with no sums, they weren't very careful, maybe a little bit overconfident with the gold lead that they had, and they got punished for it. Imagine if this was an even game. It would have been a wipe.
Surely not overconfident. Used to acknowledge that.
Well, as you mentioned, Chiefs already have a nice and large gold lead 15 minutes into the game. 6,000.
I mean, that's not large. That's absolutely bonkers. I mean, that's 2,500 gold on a Caitlyn. That's nearly a Zeal item, mate. They're flying at this stage of the game.
I think that's the actual advantage that Caitlyn has in the bottom lane as well. Massive gold lead, top side of the map as well. It's about 1,500 in favor of Swiper, who's picked up 2 solo kills this game already. But they're looking for a player towards Swiffer. That's a teleport from Pabu. They've locked him down. He's going to die here. So this make a proactive play in the bottom lane.
Raid's arrows. I said, I don't want to say like I'm just constantly saying I told you so, but I did mention that as well, that I think Raid is a very good arrow, very good utility ADC. He often finds opportunities and manages to hit the long arrows, so pretty impressive stuff out of him there.
And the worry for the Chiefs is even though they're so far ahead, we've seen so many times teams give up gold lead because they've gone into 1-3-1 and they've just mis-executed. And if they keep getting caught out like this, you lose shutdowns, you lose tempos, all of a sudden maybe your turret goes down.
People start getting frustrated.
Yeah, and then you start trying to force plays when you're not necessarily ready.
Flash
snowball.
Then you rinse them.
So, yeah, I just think that, this is one of those things that their team fight is so much significantly worse, in my opinion, that apart from maybe Gragas Lee Sin. I do like Gragas over Lee Sin in team fights.
Okay.
Big fan of Gragas.
Yeah. I mean, Seb's done well to secure 2 kills. I won't suggest that he took something he shouldn't have, but it's definitely got him back into the game a little bit. I think if he was still, to be honest, if he was 0-3-2, he would probably just be free farm for the Chiefs. And the fact that he's got that extra Giants belt, and I think he's going to have a base off soon as well. Hopefully pick up those Tarbies means that maybe he'll be a little bit more relevant than he perhaps deserves to be.
Well, we saw the first item pick up for Swiffer there, going with the Banshee's Veil. That's his first item.
Very slow to adopt the Banshee's Veil. I mean, we were on the Origin squad together, Garvin, and it was nigh impossible to get the man to pick it up.
He was not interested in the Banshee Veil. He would rather play top and switch with Fantix than build that item.
He actually suggested
glad to see he's yeah, he did. I'm glad to see he's finally on the bandwagon.
Especially with someone like Taliyah, because Taliyah has the benefit of not really having the largest mana cost in her spell, so she can go Banshees into Liandry's Torment. She becomes very tanky and difficult to deal with.
Yep.
So I certainly think it's the right pickup. I'm just surprised that it is the pickup that the stubborn mid laner of the Chiefs has gone towards.
Also want to mention that Luch doesn't have the highest CS in the game, which is a very rare occurrence for those who are not familiar with Luch. Of course, only his 2nd game in the OPL. In solo queue, Luch always has the most CS. It is actually not mathematically possible to have more.
Well, Chiefs actually looking for an engage here. Fled's going to try and charge it in. Gets cancelled by Seb.
Telling you, it's Sion 2.0.
Going in. Big Cataclysm from Pabu. Arrow connects on towards Raze as well. Orianna doesn't use the ult just yet. Separation coming out from Spooks. Swiper is going to tank up the turret, but the first casualty is Pabu. Oriol comes through, only connects on Spooks. He'll live thanks to Wild Growth. And Weaver's Wall trying to cut off the 2 carries from the side of Abyss. First turret is going to fall. Raiders trying to get back and away from them. But still, big team fight going in favor of the Chiefs.
We just saw why Spooks, Gragas is better than Lee Sin in a team fight, because Lee Sin's committing, trying to look for the way in, can't find a flash kick, anything like that.
Stars Zelda.
Yeah, Spooks just lobs a barrel, separates the entire team, pushes 2 people forward, 3 people backwards, able to get the kill off the back end of it. They pick up the turret. Nice Weaver's Wall, cuts off any form of retreat. It's just, Gragas is, the ease of execution on Gragas is so much more impactful than Lee Sin.
Did he push Ori at an ult range? I didn't see.
Ooh, I didn't see that either.
Because I feel like there was if Ori had got an ult off there on the arrowed Caitlyn, that would have been a much different team fight, but it just wasn't able to to get the cooldown off.
Also looked like Razor built over Peacemaker to put himself out of mana range of the net for a couple of seconds. So that's why he sat in Cataclysm for a little bit longer than he should have.
Yeah.
Didn't want to burn the flash straight away.
Yeah. Well, he still had the Lulu. Like, the Lulu ult got saved all the way till the end.
Yep.
So I don't think he was that worried because Ejim still had some tools left for him. But that ended up being used on the Gragas, and he managed to save his flash. So.
And we just saw the 2 item pickups for AD carries pop up on your screen there. Raid has got his Blade of the Ruined King, his first item. Raze, he's got a Zeal item complete, Static Shift, and Infinity Edge. That's not a very cheap build, and
He's got more items in the more expensive build. That's when you know things are going bad.
Yeah.
on top of that, Egypt's going for Ardent Sensor, first item on Lulu.
Yeah, this is Caitlyn's gonna hurt. This is it's gonna be very tough. She has the flash up as well now. Exhaust up for Ejim. Spooks is obviously going to be, I think, saving his barrel for the K peel. I actually don't see how she dies, other than some, some pretty suspect positioning.
Yeah, and the big thing for me is against a team that has Jarv and Ori, you would think, locket priority, redemption priority, because there's so much AoE, but you just see how confident they are that he is going to be able to carry this one out.
Pabu was posturing
Half a second
impressively.
longer, he would have been ripped out of that Flag and Drag.
Does it work like that? I was actually just thinking, like, does he get ripped out? Because Flag and Drag has pretty high priority. It works through most moves.
Yeah, but Pabu looked to be trying to move aggressively towards Swiper. Was very curious as to why he thought he could do that.
Swift has gone Rylai's second item. He's legitimately attacking.
Yeah, I like that. He doesn't have to carry.
Yep.
This Kate's going to do more than enough damage. If he can just keep people in auto attack range for the Caitlyn, I'm sure there's nothing yet.
Chiefs have bits and pieces of damage all across their roster, especially Spooks rushing the AP item first from Gragas.
That's pretty standard, though. But yeah, I do like the Kled buy. He's just finished his 2 items. Kled right now is probably, at this point of the game, is the strongest Kled is going to be comparatively to all the other champions on the Rift. And so that's going to be extremely scary for Pabu in the side lane, but more than that, it's going to be very scary in a team fight as well when he comes charging in from the side.
Probably goes Stoneplate next and maybe gets a little bit of a spike if he can get into everyone. But Stoneplate's one of those items that I feel it's not a win more item, because there are situations where you're behind and it's very useful to...
I would say it's even better from behind.
Yeah, but at the same time, it really deters people when you are ahead and you're fed from hitting you, because you know for that period of time he's just not going to take any damage.
No point.
And it gives you the ability to wail onto backlines pretty effortlessly.
Just synergizes so well with this build as well. Black Cleaver and Titanic Hydra giving so much health.
Yeah.
Gives you the resistances you need, both magic as well as armor. Plenty of health to combat that. Egypt getting caught out again here. Can use his ultimate, but not enough to keep himself alive.
And Ejim's hair gets 1 shade darker. Another solo warding mission by him while his team secures the chickens. He does that pretty regularly nowadays, Ejim, and don't want to harp on it, but hopefully that's the last time.
Yeah, I mean, actually, big flank coming, so let's talk about that later.
There's a teleport coming in from Pabu as well, so this is a 4-on-5 in favor of Abyss, but Swiper is just so tanky. Now they're piling in on top of the Kled. Arrow comes through, splits the entire Chiefs lineup, and 4-on-5, they still make Abyss back off.
And that's why we're saying Kled's probably at his strongest right now. He just dove into 4 members and didn't really get paid all that
Temper
much.
Fate from Rosie though, looking to try and continue this fight. Pabu's going to jump in, has the ball on top of himself, but only connects with Spooks. He's forced to flash out. Spooks still alive. Pabu is going to fall. Shockwave comes through, only connects with Silver, who takes absolutely no damage from this Orianna. They're still chasing on forward. It's 2 members of the Chiefs against 4 of Abyss. They make them back off again.
That's probably actually going to be Baron started up for the Chiefs, because all of a sudden Ejim's back alive. He has everything available in the form of flash as well as exhaust, and they can take this one up with their 2 beefy members in the top lane as well as the jungle position.
Pretty poor team fight there, mechanically, from Abyss. We saw the Bard ult, which I liked. Also caught the shotgun from Kled, so he didn't have anywhere to go after that. But instead of ulting the Kled, the Jarvan decides to ult the Gragas. Luch doesn't want to burn his Orianna ult on just the Gragas, so he holds it, but then Gragas manages to live with flash, and in the end, nobody dies, but they've burned all their ults. Talia takes no damage because of her build, the Banshees and the Rylai's, so all in all, they had the opportunity to at least get one. If they kill Gragas, that's no Baron, but in the end, poor mechanics puts them further behind.
The other thing that you really have to, I mean, not question, but take a look at if you're a losing squad is, like, if we get a pick, is it more worthwhile to take the easy play of cleaning up our side waves and resetting the map against a 1-3-1 comp, or should we try and continually fight? And I feel like if you use things like Ash Arrow, you use things like Lee Sin Kick, you just go back to your side lanes, you count it as another 45 seconds that they're not going to get an advantage over you, you get gold onto your Orianna, onto your Ash, and you start rebuilding the game slowly.
Yep.
So many teams in the OPL at the moment just force, and unfortunately this is the time that that pick actually costs them more in the long run, because then they lost a team fight and lost the Baron.
Just think, you know, if they'd killed the Gragas, based, fixed their side waves, secured whatever jungle camps were left, maybe got some pinks in their own jungle, you know, that, yes, they're 10k behind, maybe they shrink it down to 8.5.
Yep.
You know, and with a little bit extra control, it's still a big deficit, but the alternative was 12k, and that's what you're seeing now.
Chiefs are now just marching in towards Abyss's base, slowly chipping away at the bottom lane inhibitor. And just seems like there's nothing Abyss can do to stop this. They have to put up a stand eventually and somewhere, but
I agree with their Ordinary at the moment. Spooks is definitely a press R Gragas. He hasn't really gone for the big flash body slam plays or anything like that, but his ults have been pretty on point.
I think he's doing exactly what his team needs to. You know, what's a flash body slam ult really going to do? They can kill them all from range anyway.
Yep.
So they need to be in their face. When you're this far ahead, it's just much better to fight front to back, because you know this Jarvan and the Lee Sin are going to melt way before Gragas and Led are, even though Led is a BF sword instead of a stone plate. So Swiper definitely feeling himself a little bit.
So where do Abyss put up?
He wants the Flame Horizon. He's got Flame Horizon too many times. He's like, just let's. Flame's his favourite player as well. He's like, just give this one to me, boys. Give me some side lane farms.
See, 20 more for him. Chiefs now putting pressure top side of the map. They chipped away a mid lane inhibitor, but they didn't commit to it. Swiper's gone back to base and teleporting straight back into the mid lane. He's picked up a Guardian Angel for himself.
I mean, that also makes sense. It's even more, like, now you just don't want to hit the Kled, because you have to kill Skull a couple of times, you have to kill him once.
Yeah, he doesn't respawn with Skull, right? He respawns on his own.
On his own.
Kled engage coming in. He's going to charge into the back lines underneath the turret. Jumps on top of Pabu to kick things off. Temper Fate misses everybody from the side of the Chiefs. And while this was happening, they just take down the turret. Arrow is going to connect with the Swiffer. Separating the team again goes Spooks. Chiefs happy to fight this one out slowly against Abyss. Pabu forcing the engage. Jumps on top of Raze, but he's going to get taken out straight away. Shockwave connects onto 2. But that's the front line from the Chiefs that Luch has been able to take down. Still 5 members strong. The Chiefs are now looking towards the Nexus, probably.
Certainly will be. I mean, they've got the mid lane turret. There's already minion waves there. They're going to be able to get all 3 inhibitors down. And it just becomes an impossible game of turret defense right now for the Abyss squad.
Well, Seb's gone in, kicks Swiper back. He's still alive. Not even Guardian Angel popped. Almost gets Skull back just before he goes into the Guardian Angel. Now has Skull back to full health. More than happy to continue fighting. Luch does pick up a kill on towards Spooks. The Chiefs, they've been able to take down all of these inhibitor turrets, but they're going to be forced out.
This is going to be a couple more minutes, unfortunately. Chiefs went for a greedy fight.
KDA farming. I mean, Seb couldn't find an opportunity if he was given a small loan of $1 million right now. You saw him in that team fight at the top side. He runs in, runs around in circles for a little bit, Morse dashes out as soon as he realizes, well, thinks that he can't hit a kick. Talia was arrowed. I mean, he's really not providing anything for them with his Lee Sin. I do think Seb is a good Lee Sin. Usually he's pretty decent through the lane phase, but you know, I really don't think this is working out right now for him.
The other thing for me,
I mean, AE should look at something else for the next game.
Is also when you have duo divers, you kind of have, especially if they're not pure tanks, you kind of have to go at the same time, because what's happening at the moment is Seb's hesitating, Pabu's flying in, and he's just getting absolutely destroyed. I mean, he's 3 levels like below Swiper at the moment, even a level below Raze. So if you're not providing a couple of options to hit, they're just going to turn around. They're going to spread through Pabu. They're not even getting good Jarvan Orianna combos, and it's not really Pabu's fault. It's just the fact that there's too much priority on just keeping him off the back line.
Yeah, they just, I mean, of course, you know, you look at the gold lead and you think, oh, you know, no one could win a team fight from 14k down. But with the comp that they have, there is always an opportunity to hit. I mean, he hit Talia with an arrow. She doesn't have cleanse. You can blow her up.
Yep.
Yes, you're 14k down, but there are opportunities, and they just can't see them, or they're just not coordinated to do it, but they're going to try one more time.
Oh, we're going for another initiation. Skull jumping into the back line. Swiper jumps on top of Luch, gets it with the Blade Trap on the rope. No shockwave coming out yet. Spooks will throw out his ultimate, doesn't do too much. Everyone's trying to lock down this Gragas. Pabu jumps in as well. Cataclysm in the back lines, but he's going to be taken down for that. Ultimate comes out from Caitlyn, snipes the Jarvan trying to run away. Luch is able to take, sorry, it's going to be the Ashe that takes down Swiper. That's 1-for-1, but every single inhibitor has been destroyed by the Chiefs, and they've marched Super Minis on towards this Nexus. Abyss are going to try their last stand. Seb goes in, immediately decimated by Raze. He splashed forward. Weaver's Wall trying to cut everyone off. Luch barely survives getting towards the fountain, but will be barred that falls. Only the Orianna left alive. Raze goes towards the fountain, picks up a double kill for himself, make it a triple as Chiefs take down Abyss in game 1.
And maybe Raze is back, because that's back-to-back weeks where he's absolutely popped off in a game. We thought that potentially after IWC and the break that happened that his confidence would be a little bit shook. It looked that way in Split 1, but, you know, a great Xayah performance. That was an excellent Caitlyn performance out of the AD carry of the Chiefs. Looking very polished.
Looking definitely like he's found a bit of form. I thought that was a great game from him. Extremely oppressive lane phase from the duo. Yeah, Abyss are going to have to come up with something creative, because if they play those same comps again, I don't think it bodes well for them.
And I think that you have to acknowledge at least the place that Chiefs give priority of the map. You can't hold counter pick for support against the Chiefs. They're just not going to care. They're going to take a strong duo lane and just try and get solo laners ahead. And
it wasn't even a counter pick.
Yeah, I mean,
lost the lane. They counter picked with it. Yeah, sorry, I'm not a Bard fan.
Yeah, I know, I can tell. But yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, the Chiefs would let them blind pick Bard if they want. The Chiefs wouldn't give a care when they picked it in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a real counter pick. I don't think Bard beats Lulu in lane. I don't see it. I mean, the desk, we got 2 support players. I'm sure they'll have a lot to say. But yeah, anyway. Look, great performance from the Chiefs.
Well, speaking of the analysts, we're able to get their insight on towards that Bard against Lulu matchup as we throw it back to the analyst desk to break down that game.
Thanks very much, guys. Chiefs taking that first game 1-0 in here to decide what is the best support of all time. Is it Lulu? Is it Bard? I'm joined by Destiny and Jake. What are you guys' initial thoughts on this on this game? In particular, I want to talk about Raze popping off. I want to talk about Swiper getting that solo kill on Pabu. Jake, what do you want to talk about?
Well, top lane went pretty much, we thought Pabu, carry versus carry, we thought Pabu was going to take it. But in the bot lane, heavily matchup specific. Chiefs just blind picked Caitlyn Lulu, a really strong 2v2, a lot of pushing pressure. Seb wasn't able to match that. We saw Spooks and Ejim invade into his jungle and just pick him off while Caitlyn was fine pushing 1v2. The Bard pick just didn't do it.
I have to give credit to Swiper. Slowly killed Pabu. He stepped up. I think he played a very good game on Kled. I think he caught Pabu by shock, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, that solo kill was very clean.
Yeah.
I'd just like to touch on that. Spooks, I think, played that, like, his pathing was very good because he shut down Seb that game. Seb did not have a chance to make a play across the board. Chiefs had 3 pushing lanes, and yeah, it just looked like Abyss had no options to make a play, and when they did, it was failed.
Well, speaking of Seb trying to make ganks and maybe not being able to make as many plays, or the kind of plays you would like, let's look at our first replay. Chiefs take a small early lead, Jake, but look, they forced Abyss into making this play. But you see Seb there, stuck in the tri-bush.
So this was entirely due to drafting. As I mentioned, the Kate Lulu, they constantly want to be pushing up 2v2. As Spooks stole Seb's blue buff early, Seb wasn't able to take an early trip down to the lane. And as the clip rolls out, you just see Abyss have to reset this wave, they have to back, they have to possibly switch up to the top lane.
But the thing is, Ashe has already used her ult at this point, so there's no real engage from...
Yeah, at this point, they're just looking to shove the wave out so they can get a even reset, but as you can see, they've chased too far. Raze has flashed on Seb, and he's got the red buff. They push it forward, they take first tower.
But did they have any better options here? Like, the point is that Chiefs forced Abyss into this moment, right?
Yeah, just through the draft, they forced it to happen. Like I said, Seb should have been able to get there early, but Spooks pathed really intelligently, took his blue, couldn't get bot side pressure, and that's just how the lane goes 2v2.
Yeah.
I think it's execution as well. Like, Bard didn't have ult there, and the Ashe arrow, their only form of engage was the Ashe arrow, and it missed. So once he missed Ashe arrow, they have no initiation, and that play was never going to work.
Yeah.
Well, Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Go on.
Even even though it had to miss, like I said, they have to reset. That tower was going to go down naturally. They were in a bad spot either way.
It was already crumbling.
Yeah.
The foundations were taken.
It was like 400 health or something.
Yeah,
It was
not good.
It's gone.
Well, after that, Destiny, let's move on to our second replay, shall we? I mean, this is really where the game gets away from Abyss in the top lane.
Yeah, completely agree. I just want the viewers to focus, look at mid lane before anything, and look at that Orianna did have priority, but did not move. And this was what I touched in previously, where he just does not move completely. And he just goes for farm. So now Swiffer gets priority and he just moves up to the top lane. I think this was a bad engage from Abyss because they couldn't 100 to 0 the Caitlyn.
Yeah.
And they were already behind. And it comes back to draft where they have to make plays, but just wasn't the right one. And it relies on Luch to move out of his lane when he has priority. And it relies on the team to just burst one target.
So,
yeah.
If Luch sees Talia leave, then should Luch have followed up to the top lane as well?
He could have left earlier.
Yep.
Talia, Swiffer actually moved to the enemy blue buff, back to mid wave, and then top.
Right.
And Luch was just sitting mid that entire time. So he had the
What a farm.
opportunity. Yeah, he had the opportunity to either roam or force a shockwave on Swiffer, but he didn't do either.
Yeah, just like I said, Luch is going to outlane him. He had a CS lead even after all these plays, and it's just like Swiffer's affecting the map, and it's a team game, so Luch isn't going to win on his own.
Well, let's talk about the draft now, which is up on your screens now. And I want to touch on a couple of things. We talked about Bard before we even went to broadcast, and you guys were telling me, look, Rosie's Bard is maybe one of the best or one of the most well-known in OS, but I mean, he wasn't able to do anything with this game. I mean, what conditions did he require to be able to do stuff with Bard?
Okay, so I think Bard is pretty good in this meta in the same reason that, Varus and Ashe are good. There's a lot of mobile carries for Bard to pick with his ulti, but like we've just shown in these highlights, Abyss had no priority in their lanes. He wasn't able to rotate, wasn't able to get Moby boots, walk mid, and yeah, it didn't offer anything in a 2v2 lane.
Yeah, I think actually Bard was the wrong pick in this draft because they didn't have priority in any lane. Like if you watch the beginning of that game, all three lanes were pushing, and I felt like instead of picking Jarvan in the third pick, they should have picked Zyra because Ashe Zyra or even Ashe Karma does very well into the Caitlyn Lulu.
But then if they lose that Jarvan pick at the top, I mean, they've got to rearrange everything else. But when they pick the Bard, right, Zyra's banned out, Karma's banned out, Thresh is banned out as well. What's left for them to pick instead if they want to leave it to last? You're saying the issue is the order.
That was a major flaw.
Yeah.
The order was wrong, and yeah, even I think Blitzcrank would have been a better pick than Bard there, to be completely honest.
At least that would have given more threat of like 2v2 pressure, jungle pressure as well. Yeah, just like Chiefs noticed it straight away. They capitalized it. As soon as they picked Jarvan, it went into bans. The second rotation bans Zyra and Karma straight out, and they had no option.
Well, I mean, that also brings up the fact that EGIM was on Lulu again, and he looked much more comfortable this game.
Yeah.
But is that just because they were ahead the whole time?
I mean, I definitely think they had the easier matchup to play. Obviously, in the Gauntlet, he didn't have the best showing on Lulu, but yeah, they played the matchup really well, and Spooks' jungle pressure around bot side let them do that.
Yeah, and you can see that they were that they really prioritized that picking. First picking Gragas, because we just said in the interview as well, it was like, look, we want this for Spooks because we know he plays well.
It's a flex pick as well.
Yeah,
first pick it's super good.
Yeah, I think Gragas was a very good pick. It denies Seb of playing champions that like very easy to make mistakes on and get away with. It gave them a flex. It just made their draft a lot easier. I think Gragas is definitely a priority on this patch, and he just offered a lot. Spooks played very well.
So do we think the Bard out of those drafts then is the thing that needs to change going into the second game for Abyss? Or is there other stuff as well? I mean, obviously everyone's working on everything, but if you could pinpoint one thing.
Yeah, well, we're not quite sure how the top lane matchup goes. We're stuck in the bot lane warding and stuff, so not sure about that. But obviously getting a solo kill on your lane isn't a good thing if you're drafting. But yeah, definitely putting higher priority on a support that can even just neutralize or offer more gank assist in the lane would be really good.
Yeah, I think third picking Jarvan and then it getting solo killed, and then you have a losing bot lane matchup, or like referring to what Carbon was saying about the Bard into Lulu. It is okay for Bard, but the problem was like the team composition just didn't work out. And yeah, EGIM just did EGIM things, walked around and punished Seb.
So James McCorkindale has tweeted in at Medic for the win, asking who would have been the better pick for Bard over the Abyss support. Now we have already talked on about that, so I'm going to go back to one of his previous questions, which is what 5 champs do you want to take to the Rift? What is the Exodia, the 5 strongest? I mean, we've talked about it: Galio, Zac. I mean, is it?
So it's like no bans?
No bans. What are you picking?
Bans.
Do you want
I'll go first?
Yeah,
I'll go first. Probably Galio, Zac, There's a lot of options. You could just pick something like, if you want like the most annoying comp, you could just pick Karma mid, and then like Varus AD carry, and then like Lulu support, and it's just like, you won't die. There's a lot of these comps at, a lot of these comps at Origins. There's like 3 tanks. It's like, you don't do a lot of damage, but these comps don't die.
Destiny, do you agree? What would you
Yeah,
change
I
out?
agree on the top side of the map where you get the Galio top and the Zac jungle. They're like the 2 most broken picks on this patch. And then the third one, I think Syndra is very frustrating to play against.
Try-hard comp.
Yeah, that is a very try-hard comp, those 3 picks. Trust me, play Syndra and solo queue if you want freeload. That is my tips to the viewers. Yep. For AD carry, I'd probably do Varus. I think he's just very easy and straightforward. And then Thresh. I love Thresh. So,
yeah. All right. Well, we can see a lot of the things that you were suggesting. Obviously, were prioritized as bans.
Mine was a fun comp, guys.
Mine was the try hard.
Yeah, Destiny's out here trying to win. All right. Well, someone else, Adam, has tweeted in saying, "Do you think it's going to be a 2-0, or do you think AE can come back and get at least 1 win?" I mean, after you saw that first game, it looks very unlikely that Abyss are going to take a game. But were there any shining lights for them that you saw in that first game? You thought, look, if they exploit this, if they continue that form, maybe the second game they can get a win.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because it looks like in the early game they got heavily outdrafted in lane priority. So it could be something as simple as fixing up some picks and bans. Where, you know, they went room for a lot of like mechanical blunders. Obviously, Seb dying early was a problem. But yeah, I don't think you can really tell, but I still think it'll be a 2-0.
Destiny?
Yeah, there's always a chance that the underdog can win. There is always a chance, but just looking how the draft went and how the plays went, it does look unlikely. But coming into a new game, there'll be a new draft. Blue side obviously has advantages and disadvantages in the drafts. So, yeah, I hope Abyss just completely picks 5 new champions and comes in fresh with a good mentality.
It's kind of interesting that we're talking so much about the draft and how much Chiefs got a good draft away, given that, like, is that Jish coming in and he's like, potentially has, shaken up a few things, and he knows, he's obviously studied what Abyss wants to play. He's obviously drafting well into them, you'd think.
Could be Jish, could be Drac, it could be Abyss's players saying, they've got confidence on these matchups. We can't really tell. We don't have the insight.
No, but yeah, we can surely we can speculate though. Surely we can wildly speculate.
I'll say it's all Jish.
Let me take a look at this top lane matchup as well. Yeah,
That's
Swiper popping off.
Big bloody swips.
Yeah.
I mean, was that Kled pick? Is that something he's been working on or something he's known for? I don't know. I know that Pabu played Kled a couple of times last split, and he had some
played
pretty
against
rough
us
games.
actually.
Yeah. Now he's picking it. Swiper's picking it into him. Do you expect him to stick with that? Or I guess when you switch sides.
Yeah. I mean, if it worked, like Abyss, Pabu was willing to pick the Jarvan into it, knowing that everything was up. There was no Fiora ban. It was just Renekton really banned on the top side. Galio as well. But if he's
what could Pabu have done differently with that Jarvan? I mean, that Jarvan ult where you try and trap the Kled under the tower and then you flash out. Could that have gone better potentially?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Trading flashes.
Yeah, I think the early trades in that matchup went really poorly for Pabu, and then the lane sort of exploded, and then even if Pabu played that perfectly, I think he was dead.
Looked like he just ran out of mana. They were trading even.
Yeah.
Pabu ran out of mana. He couldn't trade, but Swiper could still trade.
Well, they have big swips in the top lane. Holding it together. All right. Well, we're about to get into our second game of this first match. Our second week of OPL Split 2. Before we do, let's check out some highlights from game number 1.
Seb, incredibly low. He's actually going to get taken down here because on attack one more time. Spooks does pick up first blood. The race is only slowed down, tagged up by Seb. Polymore is able to stop Seb for a while. Good Wild Grove cancels it. Now Spooks trying to knock back one. Gets Rosie. That's a double kill. Ultimate going out towards Raid as well. They're still chasing him down.
Going in. Big cataclysm from Pabu.
Arrow connects on towards Raze as well. Orianna doesn't use the ult just yet. Separation coming out from Spooks. Swiper is going to take up the turret. The first casualty is Pabu. Oriol comes through, only connects on Spooks. He'll live thanks to Wild Growth. And Weaver's Wall trying to cut off the 2 carries from the side of Abyss. First turret is going to fall. Raiders trying to get back and away from them. We're going to try and continue this fight. Pabu's going to jump in, has the ball on top of himself, but only connects with Spooks. He's forced to flash out. Spooks still alive. Pabu is going to fall. Shockwave comes through, only connects with Silver, who takes absolutely no damage from this Orianna. They're still chasing on forward. It's 2 members of the Chiefs against 4 of Abyss. They make them back off again. That Kled engage coming in. He's going to charge into the back lines underneath the turret. Jumps on top of Pabu to kick things off. Temper Fate misses everybody from the side of the Chiefs. And while this was happening, they just take down the turret. Arrow is going to connect with the Swiffer. Separating the team again goes Spooks. Chiefs happy to fight this one out slowly against Abyss. Pabu forcing the engage, jumps on top of Raze, but he's going to get taken out straight away. Shockwave connects onto 2, but that's the front line from the Chiefs that Luch has been able to take down.
This squad.
Well, Seb's gone in, kicks Swiper back, he's still alive, not even Guardian Angel pops, almost gets Skull back just before he goes into the Guardian Angel. Now has Skull back to full health, more than happy to continue fighting. Luch does pick up a kill on towards Spooks. The Chiefs, they've been able to take down all of these inhibitor turrets, but they're going to be forced out.
This is going to be a couple more minutes, unfortunately.
Abyss are going to try their last stand. Seb goes in, immediately decimated by Raze. He splashed forward. Weaverswall trying to cut everyone off. Luch barely survives getting towards the fountain, but will be bummed that falls. Only the Orianna left alive. Raze goes towards the fountain, picks up a double kill for himself, make it a triple as Chiefs take down Abyss in game 1.